Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is all about preparation on the real chessboard with no digital interface. So now you are able to understand the Italian Max Lange attack, following by a 15-move line of a strong preparation. Let's jump right into it. White opens with the king's pawn, controls the center, the f5 and d5 squares, and opens up this long diagonal to the bishop, which black immediately respond with pawn to e5, contesting the center, a solid one. White continues with knight f3, developing the knight towards the center, attacks the e5. Knight c6, developing the knight and protects the pawn on e5. And we see on the board bishop c4, the characteristic move of the Italian game, which attacks the f7 pawn, and this move also prepares to castle. In the meantime, black goes for knight f6, developing another piece towards the center and attacking the pawn on e4 that is hanging for the moment. And white just strikes in the center with no further ado, going for action here, attacking the e5 pawn and increase the pressure in the center. Black immediately takes the pawn, releases the pressure, but this also opens the center. White is thinking for a bit here. Will take back the pawn or pushing even further the e4 pawn? No. Firstly, white puts his king on safety, sacrificing another pawn. Bishop c5, defending the pawn on d4, trying to keep the one pawn up and reinforce the presence in the center. e5, white pushes even further and keep pushing. Now is the time for attacking the knight on f6. But black knows how to continue here with the best move and goes for d5, striking back in the center. Now, how white will continue here? What's the plan? White just follow up with this preparation and keep pushing on, takes the knight on f6, and this threatens to take in the hanging pawn on g7 next move. D takes bishop on c4. Black was a piece down, so it was forced to take back the piece, and it's the best move in the position. And black still has 2 pawns up. The downside for black is your king that is very exposed. Let's see how white proves this compensation for the 2 pawns for the moment. White goes for it and grabs the pawn on g7, threatens the rook on h8, and the black king is all open on the e-file. Rook g8 blocked the g-pawn, stopping it to moving forward, and places the rook on a good file, keeping an eye on the white's king. What's the continuation here for white? Firstly, activates his rook with a tempo, with a check to the black king. That makes a question on how will black defend his king. Bishop e7, blocking the check with the dark squared bishop, avoiding sharp lines here. How white will prove his compensation. And that starts with bishop g5, bringing another piece into the game and putting pressure on the black's king, pinning the bishop. Bishop e6. With this move, bishop e6, black develops another piece and at the same time blocks the attack and releases the pin, threatening the dark square bishop on g5. Which white instantly takes the bishop on e7, kind of forcing the queen to move in the same file of his king and the white rook. And with this move, it opens up the d file to activate the rook and centralize it. This is a well-known theory, guys. Already played it out hundreds of times before. Knight takes d4, simply takes back the pawn and puts his knight in the center of the board, fighting good squares. Now black goes for the counterattack, centralizes his rook and at the same time makes a double attack to the knight. White follows up with c3, just defending the knight from the double attack. Black is kind of stuck here with his king, his queen and the bishop, so it decides to take the g-pawn and activates his rook and keep an eye on the white's king. Now, what's the plan for White to continue and activate his pieces on the back rank? So it starts to bring out his queen, moving away from the pinning, and makes a double attack on the knight on c6. Knight takes knight on d4, moving away from the double attack and create an isolated pawn, which White must to take back logical. And c3 squared is now available for the knight to develop towards the center. With c6 blocks the diagonal to the white queen. If rook would have taken the d4 pawn, the queen would take the pawn on b7 and destroy the pawn structure completely. This was a training, instructive and educational content that allows you to learn how to play this strong preparation. By following a 50-move line, you stay focused on that variation from start to finish, avoiding getting lost in excessive nuances, so you reach the end of this line with greater clarity. This preparation is very accurate because most of the moves are theory, the well-known moves played hundreds of times before, and then a few moves suggested by the computer. This content is important to you, not only to know the moves of this variant and memorize them, but to understand the line and the ideas behind. So the challenge for you to learn and improve is this great opportunity to follow these 4 steps. Comment your thoughts below. Suggest a new opening for me to do another strong preparation for you. Oh, and just subscribe to be part of this community. There is a lot of high quality preparation coming your way. A huge and sincere thank you to you.